Hey, this is Notser, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ohio. This is the special Tier 10 American battleship, which can be obtained in the Research Bureau, and I just recently obtained it. And I would love to share my thoughts not only on the Ohio, but also the Research Bureau. Now, the build is on the screen. It's a tank build. I love tank builds on my battleships. I feel like that's the only way to play them right now, and I have huge amounts of success. Now in slot 3, since it's American, it doesn't get accuracy, so I went with the secondary gun range. And because the Ohio is set up in a way that sort of mirrors some of the design elements of the Georgia, that's also secondary, and it also has Massachusetts Heel. We have the Massachusetts Heel, and we have secondary gun range. They will probably be able to have the same commander if you'd like in your Georgia versus your Ohio, or you could go tank or whatever. The option's there, which is nice. And it's also nice getting first blood and killing the Wooster. But we obtained the Ohio, and we went through the 62,000 Research Bureau points that you need in order to actually buy it. Now, for those not aware, the Research Bureau is a way of regrinding a line after you have obtained at least 5 tier 10s. I end up answering that question on stream, so I just want to clarify that. So this really isn't for anyone who is trying to move themselves up. This is the last thing you do in the game. You know, when you have nothing else to do, you've done all the events, you've gotten your Hall of Fame, you've played your clan battles, you've done your ranked, you've gotten your 3 daily containers, you've literally done everything. You've done the missions, you've done the events, and you're looking for something else to do. This is what you do. Now, the Ohio is a Montana with 457mm guns. I love the Montana chassis. I probably love it more than most, I think, and I think that's just because I've really embraced the tank meta that I've always meant to be as a battleship. I'm not someone who's trying to hide line of sight. I'm someone who's trying to be seen and for enemies to fire on my position and for me to tank that damage. And the Montana has really great gun arcs. It has obviously the protected citadel in a way that is helpful. It used to be much harder to protect it, but when they lowered it, it was way easier. And obviously all of that carries over to the Ohio, which benefits from that Montana chassis. Now, what doesn't apply, I can't get the Montana Legendary, and I would love that. Faster rudder shift would be kind of fun with this, but that's okay. So the hull itself works very well. The 8 guns, they work pretty well. I wouldn't say that they are on the same accuracy scale as the Thunderer, and after playing many games on both, I definitely noticed that the Thunderer is more accurate. And the Thunderer has better HE. But the Ohio has better AP, just alpha, and it has more health. And for my money, it has a tankier chassis than the Conquerors. The Conqueror that the Thunderer is stuck with is really awful for alpha, because if you take the right amount of torpedoes and players focus you down, you will die very quickly in a Conqueror, and you will die very quickly in a Thunderer, because it's even worse at mitigating damage. So you're sort of encouraged by the design of the Thunderer, the faster rudder, and the concealment baked into it to stay back, medium to long range, and to go HE, AP, whatever you have. For the Ohio, you can kind of do both things. You can get close or far. You've got secondaries, you've got the gun caliber, and not necessarily the shell arc. But if you have to fire over an island, there is an advantage here for the Americans, and I like using that advantage. You got the right stuff to really be successful. You got a great tanky chassis that's better than the Thunderer's. Now, the Thunderer's accuracy is more consistent, and you're going to notice that with the shells, especially at range for the Thunderer. HE for the Americans, pretty abysmal. And if I'm honest, 457 HE, if you're playing the Americans, you're not playing it for the HE. And that holds true with the Ohio. The AP is your bread and butter. You really only want to switch to HE if you have to. You know, if there's only DDs left, or I don't know, you're overpinning every shot, which is near impossible with American because of the fact that the shell arc is so useful. And check this little nifty thing out here. We use our scout aircraft, and we are trying to pick on the Smolensk. So I use it to obviously get a bird's eye view of the smoke, and we're going to fire directly at the last known position. And we get 2 overpin. This works very well with American shell arcs. And American shell arcs sticking ships more consistently. The Montanas, definitely. If it was a cruiser, we might even not even had overpin. It might have stuck in that ship. Might even still like, oh, an accurate shot on a Smolensk. You got to take that shot. You have to. And I think everything looks pretty good. Yes, it does. But notice the shell arc. It wants to dive down. And that shell arc produces a huge amount of consistency in avoiding the overpin. The overpin is where a gun caliber of this size would be a detriment. But because of the shell velocity and the arc, it goes in a way that is very usable. And much more usable and less overpenny than something like the Thunderer or even the Kremlin. You know, that American shell arc, it has its strengths and its weaknesses. So for me, I think that the Ohio does a better job of smoke firing and killing off these lightly armored cruisers, or heavy cruisers for that matter, because the shell's going to dive down, and as long as I'm at least medium to long range, it's going to do that, and it's going to work in my favor. You could argue that I would rather have more consistency, so the shell will actually hit the target, and there is merit there too. Honestly, it's really difficult for me to look at the Thunderer and to look at the Ohio and want to be critical of both of them because I really appreciate them. I also really appreciate killing that Smolensk. It felt so good. The sense of relief. Can you feel those? Can you feel that just get lifted off your shoulders? All of a sudden, I feel like a new battleship. I can exist without just random shell fire from some smoke area. But yes, it's really hard for me to compare the Ohio and the Thunderer and to be like, yeah, Ohio sucks. Thunder is awesome, or, you know, Thunder is really crappy and the Ohio is smoking. No, I mean, like, I think that the Thunderer is better. And I think the Thunderer is better because of one thing, and one thing only. It is so vastly easier to obtain compared to the Ohio. And, you know, if I stack them up, Thunderer has better gun accuracy, better HE, has better, AA relative. You know, it's kind of a push on AA. It has defensive AA, but it doesn't have a fighter. As far as its tankiness, it's definitely below the Ohio. The Ohio, much better just everything. Much better armor profile, much better heal. The Massachusetts heal is way better than the Brits one that they offer. And the Citadel is certainly not as vulnerable. And I think that the gun angles are way more usable on the Americans than any other battleship line that is set up like this. So if you just play with the Americans, you can have very, very consistent success in mitigating incoming damage. But gun accuracy and consistency over range and delivering a 457 like that, we haven't really felt that at that kind of rate of fire. The rate of fire is also a big plus for the Thunderer. I like the fact that I am scary with bow shells. I love the accuracy. I love the maneuverability of the Thunderer and the concealment. To me, I can work with either one and be incredibly successful no matter what type of environment. And because of that, it has to be the Thunderer. It's just way cheaper. It's way easier to be successful. Oh yeah, get this. Did we get this snapshot off? I hope we did, man. I want to take this guy out. That was pretty slick. That was pretty slick. We didn't actually benefit from the accuracy, and he was there and gone. I was really proud of that shot. But, you know, this is the Ohio doing what Ohio does. It delivers a payload, and it can do it quite well if you know what you need to do with the Americans. You basically want the shells to sort of clip a little bit of the water so it slows down, so it sticks in the Citadel as it's diving down. It's much easier to show the arc, and you'll get the idea of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Ohio. I think that it is a very fun experience, especially since I really enjoy the Montana. And I've stated why. I just like what I can do in the Montana chassis, and obviously the same things apply to the Ohio. However, the Ohio is obtained with probably the most annoying system that they've put in the game. The Research Bureau is just steals your money and your time, and it doesn't really give enough back for it. And I don't think that that's how it should be. So if anyone's not familiar, Research Bureau, you need to reset a line. You need 5 tier 10s at least before you can reset a line. When you reset a line, you lose everything. You lose all of the modules, everything's reset. Your commanders are sent to the commander, barracks or whatever. I don't know where they go in this, I forget. And your modules will just be unloaded, unequipped. But the ship and the ship range upgrade and the speed upgrade stuff, that will be gone. And you'll lose all those credits, and you'll have to justify that. That alone right there, that you've lost those credits, and you have to spend more credits to unlock the ships. So it is kind of frustrating there. And then on top of that, you got to play a stock version of these ships, or you got to invest more resources, free XP. Great. So I've just done free XP credit, and oh yeah, it's a time sink too. So you got to do your time sink too. And man, there's just not enough here to really justify that. It's not a unique enough experience for the amount of time and resources. I am filthy rich in the game sense. I have so much credit. I have over 1 billion. I'm not going to run out. But for a lot of people, that's all I hear about is how credits are a really big deal. And I know they don't want to offer something that's so unique that it forces players to have to do it and mortgage their future just so they reset lines so they can get this, so they can play in competitive, right? I know they don't want that, but we're just going to probably have to accept that if Wargaming does this, they're going to have some sort of mirror in the coal. Because we have seen with both Research Bureau ships, there has been a coal equivalent. You got the Coal Bear with the Smolensk, and then you have the Ohio with the Thunderer. And I think just the simple fact that the ease of obtaining really colors people to voice one way or other if something's really good or really bad, right? So I'm just over here going, I just wish that the Research Bureau offered more unique rewards that weren't just monster, like ship levels of expenses. I want camos, I want emblems, I want stuff that I can decorate my ship with and make myself have a unique experience and presentation. It's not there. Research Bureau just seems like you just dump some ship every 3 months and you call it quits, and I just don't like that. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent and the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.